Maybe she will if you tell her that Paolo thought it was a good idea as well. Kai tried once more. I gave him a very stern look, and he raised both hands in surrender. Okay, okay, just tell me what's going on and why it's making you maul me with tennis balls and jeans ropes. That's how we came back on the topic, and I finally told him the story of the tomato-covered phone and the unread text from my dad. Chapter 5, in which I introduce another friend. He took a closer look at my mom's phone and said, "That looks different from mine. I don't even know how to open it up, but I think Louise has exactly the same model." Louise was my best friend. Just like Kai, we weren't in the same class and we didn't even share religion because she had ethics. But even better than me and Kai because she too had only moved to Radau in autumn and didn't have a lot of friends yet. We spent nearly every recess together. "And what are we supposed to do now?" I asked, already having an idea that I didn't like at all. "Oh, we go visit Louise," said Kai like it was the easiest thing in the world. "You're crazy," I said, and was suddenly overcome with the unsettling certainty that just in this moment my mother would come into my room. Daughters who spend their nights reading with a flashlight or hoarding candy beneath their bed have a sixth sense for this kind of stuff. It felt like an alarm blaring on the inside of my head. "Warning, warning, mother coming. Arrival in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2." And usually that alarm inside my head was smarter than me and completely right. I acted without a thought, or a word to Kai for that matter. I took the sizable basket of old plush animals that stood next to my bed and emptied it over Kai's head, leaving him buried under about 50 different plushies. I looked at the door, trying to project a picture of innocence, and was internally glad that Kai was too caught off guard to voice his offense. The door opened. "Do you want lunch?" Mom asked, already in a slightly better mood than before, though she looked at the heap of plushies on my carpet with visible distaste. "No, thank you, Mom," I said as gently and softly and innocently as a newborn baby, and without thinking about it, I added, "I'm not feeling too well. I think I'm just gonna take a nap." She gave me a once-over as if searching for any obvious signs of illness. But then she just said, "All right, Anna, just make sure to put your plushies back into the basket. I'll check on you again in an hour." "Okay, Mom," I said, like the most well-behaved child in the world, and picked up a cat plushie to show that I was actually going to act upon what I was told. She closed the door. I threw the plush into a corner and immediately started freeing Kai. Needless to say, he was exhilarated, firstly because I'd reacted so swiftly, and secondly because he was being freed, and thirdly because I'd successfully lied about feeling sick. "Anna, that was what I'd call a pro-gamer move. You told your mom that you were going to be asleep, so we can just both climb out of the window and visit Louise without her noticing." "Yeah, but okay, but if she looks into my room and notices that I'm not actually sound asleep in my bed?" "I know, she said she'd only come back in an hour, but that means actually very little when we're talking about my mom." That was unfortunately true, and something I'd noticed before. Mothers and daughters seem to interpret time very differently. Whenever I went to the playground to play with another kid and I was allowed to stay out till 6 p.m., I'd feel like it was only 5 when I came home, while she acted like it was already 7. "Hold up," said Kai, and took my duvet, stuffing just enough plushies underneath that it seemed like I was sleeping soundly on my bed instead of standing right next to him. You realize that this only works in below average TV movies, right? I said and added, in reality, Mom's going to notice my apparent lack of breathing and call 112, and then the emergency services are going to notice the plush animals, and then Mom will have to pay the bills for a false alarm, and I won't get any pocket money for the next 25 years. I'm not done yet. Kai shushed my increasingly desperate laments and took his own phone out of his pocket. He removed the gummy that was stuck between the 4 and the 5 button and shoved it into his mouth before activating the phone's audio recording and repeating a couple soft snoring sounds into the microphone. He saved the recording and pressed play and loop, or at least that's what he explained to me. Then he placed the phone on my head pillow so it wasn't visible from the door, but still made it sound like I was actually snoring quietly in my bed. Brilliant, I said. You could have thought of that as well, because I copied that trick from the famous 5-disc you borrowed me. Now that he mentioned it, I very much remembered the scene he was referring to, but oh well, he couldn't keep track of everything at once. Kai swung himself out of the window first and was down in the blink of an eye. Now that I was supposed to use my homemade jeans ladder myself, it suddenly looked a lot more unsafe than it had before. But since I'd seen Kai get up and get down in one piece, I had enough confidence to at least try. It was in fact a lot easier than I had feared. It's a lot easier than trying to climb up the rope in PE because this rope actually had enough knots for me to hold onto. Maybe I should donate my jeans rope to my school and just help out millions of other children that struggle with rope climbing. Soon I was back on solid ground, and only then I noticed how very obviously out of place my tied together collection of jeans looked. It was pure luck none of the neighbors were close enough to my mother to actually bother notifying her about odd constructions hanging out of her windows. In our apartment complex, and I presume in Radau in general, no one really cared about what someone got up to as long as they didn't have screaming children or threw a party at 3 in the morning. Making a racket in Radau was thus much more likely to get anyone's attention than a harmless jeans rope hanging out of a lone window. We sneaked around the outer walls of the house to the sidewalk in an effort to stay out of view of any windows my mom might accidentally look through. We only had to go around a corner and didn't have to cross any major roads to get to Louise's house. Her parents weren't the slightest bit taken aback about a surprise visit on a Saturday morning, despite the fact that they had never seen us before. But apparently, Louise had told them enough about us for them to have no qualms about letting 2 random children into their flat.